It's 3 in the morning and I just rewatching Avenger Endgame, and I'm staring at this photo of an old man on a park bench, and honestly, I just can't do it anymore, man. I can keep pretending this made sense just because we all cry a little bit when the slow music is playing in the background. We're sitting here years later, still acting like Avenger Endgame was this flawless victory. People talk about this movie like it's some kind of a cinematic miracle, but honestly, look at Steve, man. It's like you're watching your best friend finally get his life together, get the dream job, find a new family, and then at his own graduation party, he just stands up and says, actually, I'm gonna go live with my ex-girlfriend in 1940s and pretend the last 10 years never happened. That's not the ending we want, especially from Steve Rogers. We're talking about a movie that made almost $3 billion. It's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and yet, somehow, we've collectively agreed to ignore the fact that the ending is a complete and total logical black hole that swallowed 10 years of character's growth for the sake of cheap nostalgia hit. It's like the writer just threw their hands up in the final 15 minutes and said, whatever, the audience loved the 1940s, just give him a dance and they will notice the script is currently on fire. And it drives me absolutely insane because the marketing sold us this idea of the end of the journey, but what Steve got wasn't an ending, it was a retreat, a literal regression into a past he spent 5 movies learning to let go of. Oh, and I almost forgot, let's talk about the actual mechanics of this, because the science quote-unquote of this time travel in this movie is basically just a series of trust me bro and don't worry about it. You know, because they spend half the movie explicitly telling us over and over and over again that you can change your own past because your past becomes your future and the new past is a different timeline. It's like they were terrified of being compared to Back to the Future, so they invented this complicated set of rules only to break every single one of them for a sentimental shot of a guy on a bench. Which makes me wonder though, if Steve goes back and stay there, he is in an alternate branch, right? Or what they call a different universe, and not just quote-unquote getting old in the background of the MCU. So how does he get back to that bench? Like, did he hop on Cosmic Bus or did he wait until 2023 and then use a secret Stark GPS that he didn't have? Like, how's this work? I don't get it, man. Well, the movie doesn't care either. They just want the visual of Sam Wilson looking confused while Bucky stand there with this weirdly knowing smirk, which is another thing that's make my blood boil because it implies that Steve told Bucky he was leaving him behind. Man, imagine Steve saying, hey Bucky, I know you spent 70 years as a brainwashed assassin and you're still technically a fugitive, but I'm gonna go live in the suburbs with a girl I kissed once in, I don't know, 1945. So good luck with the therapy, my guy. Sam's got your back. Man, that's incredibly selfish. It's so widely out of characters for the guy who literally said I'm with you till the end of the line. And we need to talk about the Steve's shields because that thing is a walking plot hole too. So old Steve gives Sam a shield that looks like it just came out of the box, all shiny and clean. Now, explain to me how it is possible, because the last time I checked, Thanos literally chopped the original shield into confetti during the final battle. So where did this one come from? Did Steve steal it from the frozen version of himself in the alternate timeline? Which is so weird to imagine and kind of make him a criminal? Or like, did he go to Wakanda and ask for, I don't know, retirement gift? Like, I don't understand because to me it's just a narrative CGI. It's a prop that exists because the script needs handover, not because it makes any sense in the world they built. It's like when a video game characters just spawn an item in their hand during a cutscene.
What are you still doing up? It's late.
Oh God, what time is it?
It's
Speaking of things that don't make sense, are we really supposed to believe that Steve Rogers, the man who can look away from a fight, just sat on his hand for 70 years while Hydra infiltrates S.H.I.E.L.D.? You're telling me he watched the news in 1963 and saw JFK got shot, saw the Vietnam War, saw the Winter Soldier assassinate Howard Stark, and he just sat there sipping a lemonade on the porch because he didn't want to mess up his happy ending? That's not Steve Rogers we know, right? It turns him into passive bystander, a retired who decided that his personal happiness is more important than the fate of the world he already saved once. But anyway, I know the fanboy of Steve will slandering me in the comment section with the he deserved a life argument, and honestly, that's such a lazy way to look at storytelling. Of course he deserved to be happy, don't get me wrong, But happiness for a character should be the result of their growth, not a rejection of it. Steve's entire arc from the Winter Soldier through Civil War was about him finding a new home, building a new family, and realizing that his duty wasn't to a specific time period, but to the people who standing next to him. Like when he leads the Avengers, that's his purpose now. Sending him back to Peggy isn't a reward for him. To me, it's like a reset button, like you spent 10 years working your way up to be a CEO and then decide to go back and repeat 3rd grade just because you miss your playtime in your school field. And I guess the worst part of this is, it's not even fair to Peggy. The Agent Carter show literally spent 2 seasons to showing us that she was a badass who moved on, founded S.H.I.E.L.D. and lived a full, incredible life with a husband and kids. Now, thanks to the Endgame, we're supposed to believe that her entire life was just a placeholder until Steve showed up to claim his prize. It turns her into a trophy that Steve gets to collect at the end of the game, like he's just finishing a side quest. Now, enough about Peggy. Let's compare something. The other things that I made about is the comparison to Tony, because Tony's ending was actually good writing. He goes from being this narcissistic billionaire who only cares about his own suit to being a guy who makes the ultimate sacrifice to save the universe. It's a complete circle, right? It's painful but beautiful at the same time. Steve, on the other hand, starts as a guy who is willing to sacrifice everything for greater goods and ends as a guy who is willing to sacrifice the timeline and his friendship for a dance. It's an inversion but in the wrong direction. It feels like the writer were so desperate to give the audience a quote-unquote heartwarming moment that they sacrificed the internal logic of their own protagonist. They used the pretty music as a distraction and a bit of digital sleight of hand to hide the fact that the script is basically a collection of cool moments held together by chewing gum and prayer. Now, let's imagine for a second, okay? Imagine if they had actually been brave enough to let Steve grow. Imagine if he returned the stones and comes back to the present and his quote-unquote happy ending is finally being at peace with the fact that he is a man on the 21st century. He could have been the mentor or maybe the guy who finally puts down the shield because he trusts the world he helped build. He could have gone to Peggy's grave and finally said a real goodbye, acknowledging that she was the spark that started his journey, but now his life is in here with Sam, Bucky, and the whole Avenger. That's real conclusion, okay? Or hell, if you absolutely must have him stay in the past, then show us the cause. Like that's literally the rule of this back to the past thing you try to build so hard. Don't have him magically appear on the bench like a wizard. Have him send message or probably, I don't know, leave a letter that explains that impossible choice he made and the life he lived in a different world. Make us believe the weight of the goodbye. But instead we got this don't ask question moment that only works if you turn your brain completely off and ignore the last 20 movies. It's just a byproduct of this whole corporate fan service first era we're stuck in, where a poetic shot is considered more important than a coherent plot. We've been conditioned to accept these galaxy brain shortcuts because they make us feel a certain way for 30 seconds in a dark theater. But as soon as the lights comes up and the caffeine starts to wear off, the whole thing just fell apart like a wet paperback. And the worst part is, the Russo brothers had to go on press tour after the movie just to explain what happened because the movie itself couldn't bother to do it. And when you need director's commentary and interview just to understand the basic mechanics of how your main character ended in his story, that's when you know your story is cooked. It's exhausting, honestly. We're all just sitting here, nodding along, pretending that love is a valid excuse for a massive grandfather paradox and a total character assassination. You know what? Whatever, man. The movie made its billion, they sold tons of toys to kids, and everyone got their emotional closure, even if it makes zero sense. But anyway, it's almost 4 in the morning, my eyes is hurt, and I probably shouldn't overthink this outdated movie even more. So please, if you may, you can like, comment, and subscribe while I'm sleeping because tomorrow I'll check it before I even drink my coffee, so see you tomorrow, man.